Hey Mark, just looking at this one at Castle Rock, it does, or Franktown, it does look pretty interesting. Let me let me pull up the property. So anything close to Castle Rock area, the Pinery that has acreage, that's around 500 would always be interesting. So let me show you why. So yeah, it will be tough to comp it because everything in the area is like super nice and they're like in the millions. Um, so the land value alone is going to be pretty interesting in that in itself. So so this is 3 acres. Ours is like 3.5 acres. This is 2. You can already see that the land value, there's some serious value with the land, right? Um, so that gives you an idea. Here's 5 acres. This sold for 1.2 million, and it's 1,400 square foot bigger than ours roughly, right? I can't remember what ours was, 3,200 square foot or whatever. But another way you can look at it is stretch out your map and see what else you can find in there, and then just check to see how that compares with the low solds. And you can quickly see that we're right in there, right? We're right in that 500. This is the very lowest solds in the area, and most of these are sitting on quarter-acre lots. Okay, so the vast majority of these are tucked away over in this little neighborhood right here. And they're on little tiny lots, so these people can't have horses, et cetera, right? So we've got this one up here that sold. That was a fixer-upper, and they flipped it for 750, or they're under contract around 750. I don't doesn't look like they did very well. Um, Hang on, I'll let this spin. Lot 5 acres. They might do all right. They bought it for around 500. They're selling somewhere around 750. So I don't know how much money they put into it, but they're probably doing okay. And then there's this one over here that was also a fixer-upper, sold for around 470. Smaller house, really small lot. Okay, so we know we're right in there at 500. All right, and here's where I'm going to make a really strong case that 500 is going to be a great deal, is because these are pretty far away from Castle Rock. Anything around Franktown and close to Castle Rock with acreage, because people in Castle Rock and the city in general, if you're close to the city with acreage, you really have to take a pretty good look at it. The further away you get from the city, these have bigger lots, but they're further away. This one's a bigger lot, anyways, and these are tinier lots. So, yeah, I'd say 500 looks pretty good. So I would say let's work towards locking that one up and seeing what we can do. Let's make sure we can get as much time as possible that they'll allow. So week and a half, inspection period on earnest money. That would be great. Now, if they push back, of course, negotiate. But just don't give away time. Make sure that you're. So here's the philosophy in negotiation. If you're not finding the rub, you're not doing your job. All right. So yeah, you and I we'll talk more about negotiating, but you're always looking for a little bit of rub. If you're not finding a little bit of rub, you're not doing your job. You're giving things away, and we don't want to give things away, especially time, especially price. Right now, you've gotten really good about finding that rub on price, but we want to find that rub on time. Everything's negotiation because you got price. Now you're looking for time, and now you got time, or maybe you're looking for something else. And anytime they counter with something when we're under contract and they're looking for something, we want to negotiate. We want to make sure, like for example, when our on Zang, when they push back and they wanted something, we're gonna want something, right? And when we're already under contract with somebody, we're always negotiating. We're never giving away. All right. So we'll talk more about negotiating in the weeks to come, and probably tomorrow's meeting. We'll talk a lot about negotiating. But remind me to talk about that rub. We're always looking for a rub. or a grind, you're always looking for that spot where somebody stops and says, "I don't know," right? And then you know you're there, right? And you can back off a little bit from there. So we're always looking for that. And you've done a really good job in negotiating with price, looking for that grind on price, right? Now I want you to expand that into when we set up contracts for time, when we're under contract. You won't be dealing with a lot of this. This would be more the transaction coordinator, um, but when we're under contract and our sellers want something to change in our contract, we're not just going to give it to them. We're going to ask for something else, right? Because they want something, we got to get something. That's always the way negotiations work. That's always the way real estate works, or really pretty much business in general. So just remember that. So on this Frank Time one, looks like they're ready on price. So I'll shoot a different video about. So go ahead and send over a contract, um, and ask for a week and a half, or a week, or something. Give us some time on these, as much as you can get. Again, if that they demand, they're not going to sign a contract unless we only have 2-day inspection. Well, we'll talk about that, right? But and we'll probably try it, right? If the deal is good enough, or especially if it's something I want, we'll do it, right? But we'll always want to look for we're getting price, so we also want some time, and just kind of start putting that in the back of your mind whenever you're putting these together.